Today is Monday, January 18th, 2021. Today is, in the United States, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And he said this.
Because I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
And sadly, that did not come true. At least not yet. Obviously, we all know who Martin Luther King Jr. is. If you don't, I don't even know how you live as an American. The unfortunate reality is that we are living in a world that is supposed to be post-race, and it is not on any level whatsoever. Racism is alive and well today in the United States. I have made the argument before, especially after reading the book Caste by Isabella Wilkerson, that it is not about race as much as it is about white privileged people not wanting to have a diminished role in society. And we're seeing it now in a increased display of white nationalism and segregated pride here in the United States that has found a home in the Trump movement. And I am not certainly going to say that every Trumper is a racist, but I think the numbers are astonishing, and the empirical evidence is great to show that there is a white nationalist undercurrent to the majority of the Trumperisms. You can look at the video of the storming of the Capitol. There were nary a black man in sight, very few, if any, at all. And, who knows their motivations and what the reality was behind that. So as we celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day here in the United States, hopefully it's with a somber heart and a somber mind to know that we still have a long way to go before we ever achieve what that man was looking for. Tragically, of course, he was killed many, many moons ago, long before my days. And, while he moved America forward in the civil rights movement, his goals and his desires for equality for black and brown men and women, of course, has not been achieved. I still argue to this day with friends, family, and even strangers, especially through social media, which seems to be the best place to argue with idiots, that racism is still alive and well. And now it's also flown behind a banner of Blue Lives Matter. And, this idea that there is black or there is police. And the narrative has shifted that way. And it's gross. And it's not appropriate. Obviously, in 2020, in the midst of a global pandemic, we saw an increased awareness of the often brutality that is seen toward black men in this country, and black women as well. Breonna Taylor, not armed, in her own home sleeping, was killed by a police raid. And we still are not getting the justice that is due. Oftentimes, the police in this country are treated with impunity, allowed to do what they do with prejudice in their heart and assumptions in their mind. And while I definitely do not believe that all police officers are racist, I do believe that there is a racist culture that exists in policing today. Part of it is a learned response to the frequency in which they see certain things. It does not make them correct. It is an assumption based on their own personal experiences in a day-to-day job in which they were only drawn to the worst among us. And that it permeates over so that they treat everybody that they see with the same disregard for human life. And, it's not a judgment or an admonishment of all police. I have friends that are police and they are good people. So I am not one that paints it with a broad brush. But clearly there is a disappropriate amount of violence, capricious policing with violence toward black men in this country. And that's unfortunate. We have a long way to go. As a privileged white man myself, affluent white man, I do my part. I participated in protests this summer in support of Black Lives Matter. I have been very vocal through my social media. I made comments and videos here on the Daily Octane about the same thing over the course of the summer. And I don't intend on being silenced. Now, the reality is that the election cycle this fall has taken some awareness away from the plight of Black Lives Matter and what their purpose is. Clearly, we have had a historic presidential election campaign cycle and transition, and we are 2 days right now away from that finally coming to fruition and seeing a new president put in the White House. And I'm certain I will have time to talk tomorrow or Wednesday or even Thursday about that transition. Today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Take a moment and reflect on how you feel. Only you know your own heart. Only you know how you really feel. Encourage those around you, perhaps those that you are aware of their prejudices. Try to open minds. Open your own mind if you need to. Find a way to appreciate your privilege or your station or your role in our caste system. Things that you have done over the course of your life, things that you are doing today to either help or hinder the need for equality among the people of this country and the world. But we have a long history of segregation and violence and prejudice in this country. The trope of America's exceptionalism is a lie. We are a sad, angry, selfish nation. And we've been that way for hundreds of years. Our democracy, while the beacon of hope for at least elected representative qualities, is not exactly without its imperfections, clearly. Also, as I close this down on a rather short video today, I want to make note of something else. I found out last evening that another friend of mine, not somebody that I was close to, but I am actually friends with this gentleman's wife in a stronger way. But somebody else that I know died on Friday. And there's a number of reasons why this is all happening. This wasn't COVID, by the way. As you can imagine, as something more tragic. This is a hard world that we're living in right now. This is a path that we are on as a society that is full of strife and unknown quantities concerning the future, as in how long is this pandemic going to last? How long will our finances be a concern? How long is job security going to be a concern? How long until we can do the things that we love to do? Because at the end of the day, going to concerts and going to theme parks and going on vacation and going to movies and restaurants, these are things that we do to distract ourselves from the stressors of daily life. In this nation that we call home, and it is this way around the world, but I would venture to say it's worse here than in other places. We are overworked. We are overstressed. We have demands placed on us by a capitalist consumer society to work, buy. And that is not without stress. And when you add the rigors of daily life in this modern space with the pandemic, coupled with insecurity about health and job security, coupled with alienation from friends and family, and lack of endorphin building activities that can relieve some of this stress, it builds up. And for many, many people, the easiest answer to that stress is to check out. And I have never been one to admonish people making their own choices on their exits. But I will say this. If you are contemplating that, if you are struggling, if you are hurting deeply inside and think that an exit from this corporeal existence is the only answer you have, spend a little bit more time and thought and talk to people that are close to you. Feeling weak and feeling like you can't go on is not a terrible thing. It is almost understandable given the world that we're living in right now and all the things that are going around us and all the things that are outside of our control. It is not an unusual response to unusual circumstances. But remember that if you do something drastic to escape this hell that we're living in, it leaves in its place a wake of devastation, emotional, financial, for those people that you love. And while it's difficult to think about other people when you are struggling and suffering deeply inside, it is still a reality that as you exit, you can ruin people. And permanent solutions to temporary problems are not always the best solutions. Keep that in mind. If you need somebody to talk to and you've come across this video, send me a message. If you know me personally, call me up. You know, this has not been a perfect year for me either, and I've certainly had my struggles, and I understand that people go through hell in this type of environment. I can count my number now to 4 people that I know that have exited this planet and this life early this year. Well, not calendar year, but the last 12 months during this pandemic. And I don't want to see any more. On a positive note, we are less than 48 hours or a little bit over 48 hours away from President-elect Joe Biden taking his oath of office on the west steps of the Capitol building. I can't wait. I am so tired. We are being told by the media to expect about 100 pardons tomorrow from President Trump on his way out the door. Or on Tuesday, actually. Tomorrow's Tuesday. On his way out the door, on his last full day, he's going to pardon about 100 people, they say. Supposedly, he's not going to pardon himself, but we'll see. I'm sure I'll have more to talk about in the next couple of days. Thank you for watching today's episode of the Daily Octane. If you have not, if you don't mind, if you could subscribe to my channel, I would appreciate it. And click the notification bell as well so that way you know when I'm creating videos. You may have noticed, I'm not sure what's popping up right here, but you may have noticed in recent days, I'm posting gaming videos. I'm just trying to, expand out and try some different things. A couple of them have gotten a lot of views, more views than these videos are getting. So we'll see what the future of the Daily Octane looks like. In the meantime, check out some more videos, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Another episode of the Daily Octane. Have a great day, and be safe, and be well.